destroying the bathrooms when it did. I don't know if I took it off.
Replace the order for the regular menu, but I can't see how they replace the order for their catering.
Are we all good? Is Pedro?
And so I sent them an email. I sent them an email that I can't figure this out. I mean, if worst comes to worst, I'll go down there. I'll call them. Well, I did call them, nobody answered the phone.
Of course.
Okay, we all ready?
Yep.
I'm calling the December meeting of the Board of Directors to order. Item number 2, approval of minutes. Approval of the November 14th regular meeting minutes. So is there any changes, corrections, questions?
So moved. Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Chairperson's report. The community center, or the whole complex looks fabulous with the Christmas lights. So thanks to all
Holiday
the
lights.
staff.
Holiday lights.
When I grew up, it was Christmas. I'm sorry. And you know what? I'm retired, so it's Christmas.
No, you're not. You're still on this
We
board.
can't
You're
be
retired from this board.
Oh, I can't say.
No.
I don't think we have a policy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so do I have to go home and change my outfit because I got little offs on my shirt now?
No, this is one of the holidays.
All right, thank you. And I hope everything goes well this weekend, Sarah.
Thank you, we're very excited about it.
All
I'm
right.
hungry already.
All right, any of my fellow board members have any comments? Hey, Alan.
So, I want to know what the plan is, what we're going to do with the sign board. I mean, you don't have to go in it now, but maybe, an upcoming meeting, just kind of say, this is what the plan is, either we're going to try to get it fixed, we're going to take it out. I mean,
We've received, since last week, we received 2 bids.
okay,
So next meeting, we'll come back to the board with a proposal.
gotcha, perfect. All right, one other thing. So, as staff probably knows, CSDA conference for this next year has already been announced. And I didn't know if any other board members or staff are thinking of going, because I would like to go again.
Where's the number?
This is
It's
Palm
Monterey,
Desert. Palm Desert in August, not a great thing.
That's right, okay.
They must have probably got a heck of a deal at the hotel, because nobody wants to go there.
Isn't
Hotels
it
in
like
Mexico.
150 degrees in August?
It's got to be an AC.
Probably about 120.
Yeah.
On a cool summer day.
Yeah, but like I said, there, you get great information there, and you get to meet different people and find out what they're doing. And again, it's not, the other one that with CPRS, I don't know. The ones that they go to are more for staff, parks, and recreation though. This is more for the administrative side of stuff. So, I'll talk to you later.
Do you have a date on it now?
I do, but not on the calendar.
You can look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it's a Tuesday through a Friday in August, if I remember correctly.
Okay,
So that's all I got.
great. Thank you, Alan. Anyone else have any comments? All right. Administrators report. Larry, is there anything you'd like to expand upon in the report?
Just a couple things on the first report. We have 4 items, it'll be now 5, including the sign board, that will be coming back at the January board meeting to update the board. I'm assuming that we put this in here as a report, so if you want to go ahead and take this up now, the one on Rock Park security, or did you want to wait till we get through maintenance and recreation first?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Nothing new here. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. As you are aware that we have park patrols on Thursday through Sunday, and we've seen, as we've shared with the board previously, we've seen a significant increase in security and a decrease in vandalism. We still have vandalism in our parks. but certainly not to the degree we did before. However, Brock Park is an interesting park because one, it has very high visibility, public visibility. And Scott drives by it every morning, and I drive by it probably 3 days a week. And what we've determined, and you probably have noticed it too, that I think that the park, the after hours park users or the regulars have figured out when police department is patrolling the park, the Thursday through Sunday, and because we will see certain vehicles gone, and then on Monday through Wednesday, they're back. And last month, I told Scott that I drove through by the park, and it looked like there was a fellow driving around, well, a fellow wasn't riding his bike around in there, and he kept on stopping at a couple cars and leaning through the window, and so I pulled it, came back and pulled the parking lot and just watched, and it seemed clear to me that there was drug activity going on. So that kind of full circle brought us back around of what can we do to provide additional security to that particular site. It's one thing that the cars are parking in there overnight, but we're getting, as the weather gets better, we'll start to see the trailers start showing up. There was one in this morning back tucked up in the corner that I noticed. But we're having a hard time coming up with a plan that is financially makes sense, and we'll see some a positive outcome. And that is either locking the gates, and if we lock the gates at night, who's going to lock the gates? Who's going to unlock the gates? Scott contacted Fulton El Camino. They really were not interested in doing that, but indicated that if we kind of twisted their arm, they might do it. But the cost seems quite prohibitive. Having our staff do it is also cost prohibitive and puts our staff kind of in a very difficult situation, especially if there are problems in the park, removing people who don't want to leave, drug activity, anything going on. We don't want to put one of our staff in that situation. And you may remember years ago when we used to close the restrooms at night, every night at Freedom Park, thank you. We had a staff going out there, and there were some people who were feeling uncomfortable walking in the park at nighttime. So that's why we adjusted the closing hours. The other option would be to not close the gates and just leave it as it is. The question is, do we find that acceptable? If we did hire, the other option I guess would be to hire Fulton El Camino PD to patrol 7 days a week. But the cost to do that is prohibitive. I would think it was 60 to 70,000, maybe more range a year for what, and that's just to unlock one park. So I'm not sure if that's a good way to go either. But we've had conversations with the board before about this particular situation, and I didn't want you to think that we were ignoring it or we just kind of let it go. We just haven't found a good, solid answer. Scott did share one of our staff called around to the different park districts to find out if they had similar situations, and there were. And one of them was that the staff vehicle with the staff member would come into the park before closing hours and get on a microphone and basically tell everybody it was time to leave. And I don't think that would go across too well with the neighbors who live there to hear that every night. And it still doesn't mean that people are going to leave and you might have a confrontation.
Right.
So I'm not necessarily looking for an answer from you tonight, but I certainly wanted to bring it back to you to let you know that we haven't forgot about it. We are working on it, but we haven't found a solution that's cost effective and we think that would work. We have the gates, that's what they're there for.
Right.
And
I'm going to throw just one idea out. I don't know if it makes sense or not. So there's 3 or 4 days a week they don't patrol.
3.
3. Why don't we try to do a random that they go one of those 3 days so it's not a set thing so nobody understands their pattern. I don't know if that makes sense, if something can work out like that.
As Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the program that we bought into, which I think,
Right.
except for the other districts the larger districts who, I think Sunrise has patrol 7 days a week. I'm not sure if anybody else does. I think they have set up this whole program on a Thursday through Sunday because if you remember when we had the presentation made to the board, it was that they figured those were the 4 days of the week that the parks are most used. So I don't know if, we certainly can ask them, but I don't know if that's what they would do because I don't think that that's their business model.
Right, that's just an
Well, we
idea.
certainly can ask. We
Yeah.
thought about that too, but
Okay.
we thought we knew what the answer was.
Yeah, I don't think trying to have someone lock the gates is gonna work.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, it has such high, the park has such high visibility.
Right.
But I just wonder if people who live in the neighborhood or people like yourself who drive by every day, if we become kind of numb to the fact is that they're there. We see them and then they're just there. But as you remember, last month we had a arson at the end of the back end of the park at the basketball, the baseball field, and to replace it or repair, we're at $10,000 to $12,000 because there was a lot of wood involved in that backstop. Now we were looking to replace that, but it will not be the wood. We'll go with all metal, so it reduces the chance. But the activity that we see take place at the back end of that park, you have houses up on the hill and up to the sides. You have a lot of trees there, so if somebody sets a fire, you can quickly get into the houses. I just wonder at some point in time, is something more substantial than a backstop fire that's going to take place. But anyway, I wanted to bring it to your attention. We're still trying to figure out if there's something that we're missing here. I just don't think it makes sense to spend $60,000, $70,000 a year to add additional patrols and have somebody locking and unlocking the gates. So really, it's just more of an update to share with you what we're looking at, and we have not found a suitable answer, but we'll keep on hammering away at it. Other than that, I didn't have any other items to share.
All right, anyone have any more questions of Larry? Scott, is there anything you'd like to highlight in the report?
Unless there are any questions, I'll just.
Anyone have any questions for Scott? Sarah?
I don't really have anything to add, just that we've got our holiday party this weekend, Breakfast with Santa. We're really looking forward to it. Rachel's taking the lead on it, and she's got some really cool new ideas that she's bringing, and it'll be hopefully a lot of fun.
Not better than your ideas, right?
Equally as good.
Okay.
All right. Anyone have any questions?
I got a question. So I see on here on the 21st, we had an incident on, and we called Grant PD or Twin Rivers, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And they never showed. Is that a common practice for them?
That has occurred before. We often get notifications that they're short on staff and response times are a little bit slower. But yeah, that has happened before.
So, does that group have any other options if they call and they don't show up and they still got this person being?
They know to call 911 at that point in time, but we know that there's an improvement that needs to happen on that end, and it's just a matter of creating a dialogue and.
Well, one thing Sarah and I talked about yesterday was that when that notification came that they didn't know that we were supposed to be in the gym, although nothing on our end had ever changed, just to make sure that we get the right person and we don't get the low-hanging fruit. We are sending a letter that will include all the way from the school personnel all the way up to the district superintendent to make sure that we notify everyone of that what is taking place, so that somebody's going to get the message that you may be changing your policies or something. You didn't get the word from somebody, but we need to make sure that somebody knows what's going on, because sometimes even when like you're dealing with a custodian at a school, sometimes if you leave it at that, you're not going to get anywhere. So we'll get that letter out here, if not tomorrow, early next week, to make sure that they know. And I hate doing it that way, but it's a big school district, and I know, and it's not always their fault. they have a lot of moving pieces, and I'm sure their police department isn't large enough to adequately patrol all the schools in their district. And I think it's kind of an odd thing the way they do it anyhow, that we have to call in, right, Sarah? And then to tell them we're coming into the gym.
So that, yeah, so
And then
for,
they will unlock it from their end, rather than just give us a pass code to let us ourselves in.
Just doesn't seem safe.
I would agree.
Well, it's just not being safe, it's just a situation where you get people showing up who have an activity there, and then they're being told that we don't know anything about you, we're not letting you in, where we've done everything just the way we've always done it for years, and somebody has changed something on their end, but they're not telling us what they did.
What's the actual school?
Ridge Point Elementary School. So that was a separate incident with the students, but when we occupy the facility after hours, just a little background on Larry's comment. We're supposed to call Twin Rivers Unified School District Police to unarm the building from a remote location. In the past, we call, say that we're going to be in there, and they say, great, give us 5 minutes, we'll unarm it. We had a situation last week or a week before where we called and they said, well, we're not going to unarm the building. We have a new policy, we don't have your event on our calendars. Well, that's, news to us, and so that's where the letter comes into play, and we need to have notification if there's a policy change, but we also haven't changed our program, and it's been in there for multiple years. But the not responding to certain reports has happened before.
So we have no avenues then, just,
It's been a challenging roadblock that I've encountered. So working with the program staff that provides the grant, the special projects team for the ACES grant, they've been notified and they're aware, and they assure patients and stuff like that. So they've been instructed to call 911 if it's a quick need thing.
We've had situations in the past, and I don't like doing it this way, but I think it has been effective, is that, as some of you may be aware, when we had the swimming pool issue, and we had a potential lawsuit with the school district, I became well acquainted with the deputy superintendent. And on several occasions, one was when over at Ridge Point, where one of the rooms flooded out, and they just ignored it, and it was, the water had been sitting for over a week, and no one had done anything about it. I made a phone call, and it was taken care of that same day. I don't like doing that all the time, because then after a while, then, they just ignore you. But, for something like this, all we need to know is if you've changed the protocol, if you changed the policy, just let us know. We're happy to do whatever it is you want us to do, but if we don't know that you've changed it, then we're going to run into a situation that it just creates problems.
Are there any other comments from staff? Gary? No? Okay. Okay, item 8, comments and reports from citizens and organizations. We do have a citizen in our audience. Do you have any comments that you'd like to make this on the agenda? Thank you. Excuse me, I skipped item 7, correspondence. We received correspondence from LAFCO. It's under new business, under 10C. Okay, item 9, unfinished business. We don't have any. Under new business, 10A, the 2018-19 fiscal year final audit report. So,
I think the vice chair was going to take this one.
nah, I think we arm wrestled and you won.
Oh, okay. So in your packets, there's multiple items here. So the first one is what's known as report of internal control and compliance. So we have our audit done on a little higher standard that's called government auditing standards, but it's technically federal government, but the standards are higher, and that's what we've asked them to do, because they have to look at other things, and again, there's more stuff, and it gives us a better assurance that everything's okay. And as you notice, there's no findings, and obviously there were no prior findings to follow up on. So the next letter, which is addressed to Board of Directors, this is what's called communication with those of governance. So this is also known as Statement of Auditing Standards number 114 or SAS 114. And this basically is directly to us that says, you know, if there's any other specific things, if they had to make large adjusting entries, if we're doing something wrong. So this is another level for our assurance. Now, the actual financial statements, which start with the, well, mine's blue, I don't know if everyone has color, but it starts with this, the actual financial statements. And we have what's known as a clean opinion, or known as an unmodified opinion, which means everything was hunky-dunky. We're looking pretty good because we have about $1.5 million in reserves. So everything's looking good, and I want to thank Terry for all the hard work. The auditor did say that Terry is doing a great job. The spreadsheet for the capital assets that you got, you said you're doing it properly, everything's looking good. So yeah, he was very impressed. So I want to, on behalf of the whole board, I want to thank you for that. So I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to receive and file the 2019 audit.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion,
Questions or anything?
questions or anything that anyone needs clarification on?
Because I did go through this pretty quickly, but if anybody had any other questions, Pat can answer.
Chairperson.
All right, all those in favor? Aye, motion passes.
So you want me to kind of intro the next one, or? So a lot of times, contracts with CPA firms are a 3-year contract with anywhere from a 2 to 3-year extension that, you know, you basically negotiate a price later. For audits now, every 5 years, if you have the same auditor, you have to change the partner in charge, just so a different set of eyes, you know, are in charge of this. So I talked to Larry that this was going to expire, and this was just something we thought, well, you know, everything's going well. It's working, you know. They're a national firm, if you don't know that now. They originally weren't, but they got bought up by Clifton Larson and Allen, so they are a national firm now. And, you know, I personally think we ought to just stick with them instead of going back out to bid and making staff go through all that again. So after that, Larry, you can take it over.
Assuming that the board would like to extend the contract, I had a brief conversation with CLA, and they've indicated that extending the contract would be no problem, and they would not see more than a 2 to 3% increase each of those 4 years. And as you see under the financial information, our current audit cost was $10,025, plus an additional $1,500 when we added the Alberta Park, Cherry Blossom Park Community Facilities District, which is included in the audit as well. And so if the board were to agree with this, then I would go ahead and contact Rich Gonzalez from CLA, and then we would go ahead and put together an extension of the contract and then bring that back to the board in January. Then we would extend it for 2 more years. If you chose not to, then we would have to go soon to do an RFP.
Right.
So,
I'll make a motion that we accept the 2-year extension of CLA's contract extension. No, what else I need?
Well, I think we're going to actually authorize staff to negotiate a 2-year extension.
Okay, so they got to negotiate it.
Right, yeah,
okay.
pretty much. I'll go ahead and second that.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 10C, LAFCO selection of special district commissioner and alternate commissioner runoff for the Sacramento Local Agency Formation Commission. So, we are supposed to discuss, take action in selecting an alternate special district commissioner. So, any of my fellow board members have a preference?
I'm gonna actually ask staff if staff happens to know any of these people.
No, in fact, I didn't go back, I was gonna go back and look, to find out the gentleman we had that showed up at our
Right.
board meeting, is he one of the alternates?
He's not one of the
He's not,
alternates,
he's
so I don't know if
not.
he won, or, did we ever get something to say who won that election?
Oh, it's on your first page.
Oh, was that? Is it?
Yeah, actually, it's a lady,
Oh, okay, that's right.
Lindsay
Yeah, I
Liebig
did see
from
that.
Herald Fire Protection
Yeah,
District.
so he didn't win.
And there's a three-way tie, and
Right.
it's was it Michael Hansen? Was that the
Michael
gentleman?
Hansen is one,
And
Arcade.
Charlie Moore.
Charlie Moore, and
Charlie Moore was
Michael
the one
Yearwood.
Okay, oh, okay. Yeah, so, I don't know any of these three.
I've heard Hanson's name before, but I don't believe I've met him, but I don't know that. I'm open if anybody has anybody that they saw, because I went through their resume and it's like, I don't know.
I had Michael
That's
Yearwood
wonderful.
picked on the last one on me.
Is that what?
Well, that's who I had, because I marked it just to,
Yeah, that's fine.
you know, and
Well,
then
that's who you
that's when
want.
I went and looked at, like I said, I looked at all the resumes, and you look at them, and they're all
They all have.
pretty good. I mean, they got pertinent information in there, you know, I mean, like I said, that was just,
Okay, well, go ahead and make a motion
you
then.
know, I make a motion, we accept Michael Yearwood as the LAFCO or special district alternate commissioner.
Get a motion? Do I have a second for Michael Yearwood?
We need that,
With-
I don't need
with-
that.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of selecting Michael Yearwood for the runoff ballot, say aye. Aye, motion passes, thank you. Election of the board officers for the 2020 calendar year.
I abstain. Aren't I going on a sabbatical here soon?
What order are we doing this, Madam Chair?
I don't know, let's go with start with the chair and then vice chair and
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and
secretary.
nominate Mr. Williams. I'll second that.
Okay, do we have any other nomination? Do you accept it? Because I think we, when we changed the.
I'm looking at you.
Slide on over.
You know, I have no problems.
Okay,
I'm gonna have to do it eventually, so I might as well.
I don't know, I kind of avoided it for a few years.
I have good support system, so.
And yes, you do,
So
you'll
I have
do.
no problem.
Okay,
I'll take this.
all those in favor of
Aye.
nominating Pat for chair?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Okay, vice chair.
I'll nominate my good friend here, Zach Smith, for vice chair.
I'll second that.
Is there any other nominations for vice chair? All those in favor for Zach for vice chair? Aye. Motion passes. Secretary.
I'm nominating Pedro.
Do we have a second on?
Sure, I'll second that.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any other nominations for secretary? Okay, all those in favor? Aye, motion passes, thank you. So, Pat, do you want us to email you with what committees we want to be on next year, or how do you want
That's
to
normally
handle
the
that?
process we do.
Okay,
If you want to be on a certain committee, you just let the chair. It's your decision.
Yeah, or you can assign us and.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you, that's
Or
what.
Taylor.
I'll talk with Larry, we'll square things.
Yeah, I'll work with Pat on
No,
that.
no
We'll
big
get,
deal.
go over all the committees, and that way you can reach out, or I can do it on your behalf, reach out to the board, and we can find out.
Okay. Yeah, I got questions.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried. Hey,
Yeah, yeah.
I knew when they implemented that, I was coming. It was coming. So,
All right, thank you. Okay, item 11, payment of the bills. So, anyone have any questions of the billing, either billing report in our packet this evening? Either for the district
I'm
or
ready
for,
to ask her.
uh,
Oh, wait a second, I'm the chairperson, you can't say nothing to me. Hey, no, what my question is on the utilities, back on the back, Bainbridge, Aztec, and Watt, there was no numbers.
For us, there were probably just not, those are them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was just, everything else is uniform.
I think
and
on blank, so I don't have to typing them in so that.
Okay.
we get in.
No, that's fine with that, I just had.
You're okay.
Yeah, that's all I had. Sure, Al.
do you have any questions, Alan? You're good.
I have one about the audit. It says it's listed as 7,145.
Remember then
it
this
was-
CFP
So
has.
those costs are just listed
Right,
separately.
that's part,
Okay.
yeah, some, if you go to the back page,
Okay.
it's $1,000 for the community facilities district.
Okay, I see that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to ratify payment of the bills for both the district and the CFP.
Second that motion.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. The next regular meeting of the Board of Directors will be on January 9th, 2020 at 6:30 PM in the North Highlands Recreation Center, 6040 Watt Avenue, North Highlands. This meeting is adjourned.